Hey YouTube, I clipped this just to show off my thoughts on some upcoming content. If you want to check out the full video, please check it out in the card to the right. Otherwise, enjoy this short piece. Drop a like on the video and subscribe if you haven't already. Alright, let's get started. Boss Rush. This is a new event format. This is taking the place of what used to be the second character of the month. We do have one character a month. It is what it is. Dark Knight Cecil is the featured one here. He's getting a rework in an LD along 80. Darkness Plus gets more. It's really just his plus skills getting upgraded. Darkness Plus gets more hits and overflow. Valiant Blow is getting more hits and splash, which leaves the other target launchable, the one that was not launched, similar to how Cloud's finishing touch also has splash. Now, his LD is a double dump HP attack that delays all the targets. He drops a Dark Imperial generic and a new debuff, which is sap and 20% HP damage up, which is huge. It's an instant turn, and so similar to his playstyle in Dissidia 012. Shout out to that game, great stuff. He gets an instant turn. He drops his HP by 60 to put him in the threshold to get his plus skills right off the bat, and then you can set up a launch right after. So delay right at the launch wombo combo. It's great. It's a single target Brave Shade, but it delays all targets. It's very, very good. He gets M-Brave and attack up on his limit breaks, which means he's even more of a nuke. I really like his LD and rework because it increases his risky playstyle of just blowing himself up and doing crazy damage at the cost of his health. His call ability launches. Sadly, it is not the plus version because he gets called in at full HP, so it's just a single target. I think it's 4-hit launch attack, so it doesn't splash. Doesn't make the other one launchable. A bit disappointing, but it is what it is. When he gets his LD boards, he is going to be a monster, I'm sure, with that debuff. Now for the Lufenia, well, should I say Boss Rush. This is a new format. I'm not going to go too in-depth, but I'm going to give a brief overview. I have content planned later for explain it, just because it's such a new concept, but it's pretty fun, and I think it's my favorite game type to date. It's a very hard level stage, so it's a Lufenia, at least at the last. There's like intermediate missions, but they're pretty simple. If you've been doing Lufenia, you can do these previous missions. They follow the same rules, but what you're focused on is the very hard stage. You get rewards based on how many teams you can clear with. There's some hierarchy, but I'm not quite sure, so don't quote me, and it might be subject to change as well. That's right. I need to mention that some of this stuff is subject to change because they tweaked it a little after the first boss rush, and I have no guarantee that the first one will be the same in global, but my explanation for this first one gives a general overview of the game type, and when I specify this first boss rush, just know again that it might change different from JP because they needed to tweak it a little bit. But let's get right into it. The top rewards for clearing in the least amount of teams. So for the first boss rush is 2, and then for the subsequent ones it was always 3. You get Lufenia armor mats for doing it with the max team. Second level is the burst token, I believe, and then third's nuggets. Fourth is cosmos materials, which is books. Yeah, like this could change in global regarding 2 teams for the first one and 3 for the second one. But yeah, let's keep going. You get 50 actions with 1 team. So think Final Fantasy VII and the final dungeon when you can swap your teams around. It's kind of like that. And this is actions, not turns. There's no turn count limitation in Boss Rush. You need to do it. It's the amount of actions you do. And these are things that would also tick down the Lufenia orb. So if you do a call, a C65, or something that doesn't contribute to the turn count, this will still tick the Boss Rush counter down. However, this does not include, just like Lufenia orbs, it doesn't include off-turn damage. Off-turn damage won't increase the orb. I mean, it won't tick down the orb, I should say. Summon phase, the Boss Rush counter doesn't move, and burst phase. After 50 actions, you can swap out early if you so choose because you're in a tight spot. You can swap to a new team. You can restart waves at will. You can also hit the rewind button to go back to the point where you switched your party to try again from that point. You cannot reuse anyone in your first party in parties afterwards, and so on and so forth. Calls can be reused though, even if the character is locked or the call was used in a previous team. Summons, however, are locked. So if you bring Ifrit on your first team, you can't bring Ifrit on your second team. You can still only use 1 burst per team, but you can bring multiple bursts in each group, and you can use 1 burst per group. It's a different style of play. You do raw burst damage. You all you care about is blowing the enemy up as fast as possible. You don't care about skill efficiency. You're probably not, there's no need to pace yourself, spam your LDs and need be, get everything out the way. You want your teams to go as far as possible so you have leeway near the end. Off-turn damage is king since it doesn't count as an action. This is counters, traps, HP poisons. All of them are stellar in boss rush because it doesn't take an action. Damage per action is really what you really want to aim for in boss rush. While burst is not required, and there's always been someone running a boss rush where they haven't used burst, it's always possible. Don't fearmonger about that either. You don't need burst. The reason why people in JP, including me, use burst in boss rush is because we have it. It gives us more leeway in the later teams. I don't see why this is hard to comprehend. I love using burst in boss rush, so I don't have to be tight at the end. But you can definitely do it, and people in global will do it. Always. Always, always, always. There's 3 to 4 waves with different mechanics in different orbs and bosses, so you need to be well-rounded. It's usually based around the units that arrived earlier in the month, plus the featured unit. So, like for example, there's launch orbs and dark orbs in this one for Dark Knight Cecil. And there's a synergy mechanic. Now, this started with Boss Rush 3, and this is really the biggest subject to change thing. But where if you bring a synergy character, it gives the entire party synergy stats. And this is similar to how Dimensions and Transcendence is going to work. So say, since Furion synergy, and you brought Furion on your first team, and your other party members are Gladio and Gao, then Gladio and Gao would also get synergy stats. However, if you brought Gladio, Gao, and Rude, there's no synergy member in the party, so none of them would get synergy stats. It's one party synergy member gives everyone synergy stats. Otherwise, it's a bust. So you're really incentivized to bring synergy to get the most out of your units. This could potentially come to global early. It could not. We're waiting to see. I can't guarantee it won't, but I can't guarantee it will either. So stay tuned. If it is, that's nice. It's a nice boost to make it easier. If not, well, people still have synergy. And the synergy on this first boss rush will be Furion, X-Death, Dark Knight Cecil, and then the rest of Dark Knight Cecil's banner mates, which are Leon and Kane. So you want to bring an optimal team to maximize your damage output. You want to bring an orb counter to stay alive, unless there is no orb. Usually there's one wave without an orb, but there's like a hidden condition. You want to bring a synergy unit for the stats if possible. If you have a burst, it's good to bring one if you can fit them into your slots and you covered all the roles, just because that's an extra damage phase to give you more breathing room. And fill in any gaps after that. Again, off-turn damage is a good idea, because you don't have to act, but it'll destroy the bosses. Very different style of play, but I really like it. Now for the actual first boss rush breakdown. There's 2 teams for max rewards, and again, this is assuming that it stays the exact same as JP. If it changes, well, I warned you earlier. Let's see. Everything is paralyzed immune. Wave 1 is a prominence. Tier 1 Dimensions and flashbacks. There's no orb, but it is a damage race. It has massive defense spikes, and you don't want it to get into stage 4. It'll just wipe you. Blow this thing up as fast as possible. Give it a few turns. Deal off-turn damage. The ads are super aggressive with HP attacks, so if you're not ready, they might blow you up and catch you off guard. Focus the main one down. Lightning's good here for just delaying the main guy, but if you want to go the counter route, that works as well, and battery through it, because the defense is really just ridiculous. This thing is tanky. Wave 2 is the Vain Horse. It is a launch orb that thankfully it activates at 50% health. So if you have enough time from the team in the first wave, you can rush them down with the first team, get them to 50%, and then swap them out so you can get some launches in near the end just to satisfy the orb. Bring launch calls just in case. And then wave 3 is the Golbez Dragon. It had a funny name, but I forgot it. It does big brave gains, it cleanses, and if you let it get turns, it could potentially blow you up. But you can really cheese this if you have like Cloud, Kais, and Dark Cecil. That's the team I remember using, and I blew them up. Didn't get a single turn. Kais shows his worth around launchers, and this is really the perfect opportunity to do it. Dark Knight Cecil with his delays and then his crazy battery launch equals a lot of fun time with Kais, pretty much. You'll love to see it. Challenge, there's no challenge in Boss Rush because you get burst tokens if you get the max team rewards. As for my polls and future viability of Dark Knight Cecil, I'm going for him. I always enjoyed using him. He's very fun. Hopefully I can get Fury and Burst because I'm pulling on all 3 banners. The slight rework in LD make him even more risk reward, which again, I love that playstyle, and he's great for launch comps and other nonsense. Alright, hope you enjoyed the clip. Please drop a like on this video and subscribe to my channel for more content like this. Please be sure to check out the full video and the card, and I'll talk to you guys later. Peace.